Hello everyone and welcome to Rollin'-ish. I'm Matt, and in today's video we are going to focus on the Wizard Arcane Traditions, specifically the Schools of Abjuration and Conjuration. If you haven't done so already, take a look at our Intro to Wizard video and know that in our class playlist we will be breaking down not only the Intro to Wizard where you see everything that wizards get, but also we're going to break down these arcane traditions by two, starting with Abjuration and Conjuration. This is the subclass for the wizard, and you get to select your arcane tradition at second level. When you do, you're going to get some feature assigned to you right there at second level, and then again at 6th, 10th, and 14th levels. This video, we're going to focus on the School of Abjuration to start. The Abjuration wizard is one that is going to focus on blocking, banishing, and protecting. This is where I believe a spell like Shield would come into play, or Mage Armor, because they are designed for protection. Called Abjurers, members of this school are sought out when baleful spirits require exorcism, or important locations must be guarded against magical spying, or where portals to other planes of existence must be closed. These are all those forces that get tied in with the abjuration style of magic. When you select the School of Abjuration at second level, the gold that you are required to spend to learn a new abjuration spell that you find, maybe in a spell book that you find along the way, or a spell scroll, it's halved. So any abjuration spell you find, you can spend half the gold to learn how to use that spell per level of spell that it is when you're learning new spells. Typically it costs you 2 hours and 50 gold. So it would be 2 hours and 25 gold per level to learn that spell. So it's a little bit cheaper when you're from the School of Abjuration to learn the abjuration spells. That's not to say that you have to only learn abjuration spells. You don't have to go that far. But it would make sense if the majority of your spells in your spell book came from the School of Abjuration. At second level, you get Arcane Ward. This is where you can weave magic around yourself to protect yourself. When you cast an abjuration spell of first level or higher, you can simultaneously use a strand of the spell's magic to create a magical ward on yourself that lasts until you finish a long rest. The ward has a hit point max equal to twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier. Whenever you take damage, the ward takes damage instead. It's going to siphon that damage for you. So again, the higher level you are is better. The higher your intelligence modifier is better, because it has a hit point max of twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier. So let's just say you're a 3rd level wizard and your intelligence modifier is a +4. So twice your wizard level. So if you're 3rd level, that's 6. 6 plus 4, your intelligence modifier is 10. So this ward has 10 points of damage that it can take before it really starts affecting me. Once I reduce that to 0, I then start taking the remaining damage. While the ward has 0 hit points, it can absorb damage, but the magic remains. Whenever you cast an abjuration spell of first level or higher, the ward regains a number of hit points equal to twice the level of the spell. Once you create the ward, you can't create it again until you finish a long rest. So it can kind of like float with you, if you will, even at 0 hit points, but it's just like an aura, however you DMs out there want to describe it, or you players want to describe it. At 6th level, you get Protected Ward. This means when a creature that you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you could use your reaction to cause your Arcane Ward to absorb that damage. So now it's not just affecting you, it could affect someone within 30 feet of you. And then, of course, once the damage of the ward's pool is reduced to 0, the warded creature takes any remaining damage. Beginning at 10th level, you get Improved Abjuration. When you cast an abjuration spell, that requires you to make an ability check as part of the casting, as in counter spell, as an example. Sometimes the way counter spell works, it's a third level spell. If you are trying to negate a third level spell or lower, so equal to what you're casting or lower, you automatically succeed and you negate the spell. If you're casting this at third level and the spell you're trying to negate is higher than third level, then you need to make a skill check, and that DC is going to be 10 plus the spell's level. So if it's a 6th level spell, 10 plus 6 is 16. You need to make that check with a DC of 16. What this is saying is that improved abjuration, beginning at 10th level, when you have to make that ability check as part of you casting that spell, you add your proficiency bonus to the ability check, which is great. Because oftentimes you might be making, let's say, an Arcana check to make that. Well, if you're not proficient in Arcana, you can add that proficiency, and that's going to help. And I read this as, even if you are proficient, it's saying you can add your proficiency bonus, so double it. That's how I would rule that as a DM. But that's really cool. That makes the feature, worthwhile, because your odds of succeeding in something like that are going to increase. Okay, and then lastly, at 14th level, you get spell resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells. Furthermore, you have resistance against the damage of spells. So that's huge. Spell resistance. So not only do I get advantage, oftentimes on areas of effect, if I succeed, I'm going to take half the damage versus full damage if I fail. Furthermore, I have resistance to spell damage. So even if I succeed, I get half the half. I take quarter damage. That's how I read that, right? That's how I would rule that. And if I fail, then I was going to take full damage. Guess what? I have resistance. I'm going to take half damage. Thank God, because I'm a wizard, I'm squishy and don't have a lot of hit points. But that's pretty cool. The School of Abjuration not only costs you less money to learn those spells, but you could create these wards that kind of just follow you around. These magical arcane threads of energy that follow you around, and they basically are a floating shield in a way, because hit points come off of that before they start affecting your body, and that's the benefit of the School of Abjuration. Okay? Let's look at the second one in our agenda for this video, and that's the School of Conjuration. Essentially, as a conjurer, you favor spells that produce objects and creatures out of thin air, like billowing clouds, a killing fog, summoning a creature from somewhere else to fight on your behalf. Transportation and teleportation are part of conjuration because you're conjuring gates or gateways. So that's pretty cool. So same thing as the School of Abjuration, you become a conjuration savant. When you take this class at 2nd level, or this subclass at 2nd level, the amount of gold and time you must spend to copy a conjuration spell into your book is halved. Any standard conjuration spell or any standard spell you would find along your journeys, if you wanted to learn that spell from a spell scroll or a spell book, it would cost you 2 hours and 50 gold. If you come across a conjuration spell from a scroll or book, it would only take you 1 hour and 25 gold per level of spell. So it kind of does cost less and less time to learn those new spells. It kind of wants to push you in that area of taking the majority of what you can prepare as conjuration spells. And you could certainly play it that way, but you don't have to. You don't have to only have conjuration spells in your book. It would make sense for your character that most of your spells would come from the School of Conjuration, but you do what you will. All right, what else do you get? At 2nd level, you get minor conjuration. You can use your action to conjure up an inanimate object in your hand or on the ground in an unoccupied space you can see within 10 feet. The object can be no longer than 3 feet on a side and weigh no more than 10 pounds. And its form must be that of a non-magical object that you have seen. The object is visibly magical, radiating dim light out to 5 feet. The object disappears after an hour when you use this feature again, or if it takes or deals any damage. So minor conjuration. So what might that be? I don't know, maybe like a mirror. Conjure up a small hand mirror that you can look around corners with. Maybe a non-magical weapon, especially if it's for looks. Like maybe you're trying to sell yourself as a guard or pass yourself off as like a smith of some kind and you want to conjure a tool. Something like that would make sense. All right, at 6th level, benign transposition. You can use your action to teleport 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, you can choose a space within range that is occupied by a small or medium creature. If that creature is willing, you both teleport, swapping places. That's really cool. Especially because it's an action and it's not a spell. So this is a way to teleport yourself or swap places with somebody that's in danger without expending a spell slot, because this is your benign transposition feature. That's cool. There are a lot of cool teleportation spells out there, but the fact that you could use one as a conjurer without burning a spell slot here, that's pretty cool. All right, at 10th level, you get focused conjuration. While you're concentrating on a conjuration spell, your concentration can't be broken as a result of taking damage. That's awesome, because anytime you're concentrating on a spell, if you take damage, you need to roll a concentration check. And when you roll that concentration check, your DC is going to be 10 or half the damage taken, whichever is higher. So that's important, knowing that if I take any damage at 10th level, I don't need to roll concentration check when I'm concentrating on a spell. Lastly, you have durable summons. Starting at 14th level, any creature that you summon or create with a conjuration spell has 30 temp HP. That's pretty big, because if you can conjure a creature to fight on your behalf, they're not usually going to have a huge hit pool, a pool of hit points. So to conjure up whatever you're conjuring and stack 30 temp HP on top of that, that's fantastic. I think that would be a great ally to have in combat, because it's potentially a target that is going to take, away attention and take damage away from you and your party members. So that's always good. So yeah, durable summons. That's pretty cool. All right. So that's what you get when you choose the School of Abjuration or the School of Conjuration as your Arcane Tradition at 2nd level. Be sure to check out our class playlist for the intro to Wizard if you haven't done so already, and the other videos that we have covering the other arcane traditions, such as the Schools of Divination and Enchantment, the Schools of Evocation and Illusion, and the Schools of Necromancy and Transmutation. Until then, have fun building your wizard, and we'll see you at the table.